Hello, I'm Jess. I'm not sure if I've said that yet on this channel, actually. So I feel like I haven't recorded this month. I think is maybe like not this month, meaning in the last few weeks. This might only be my second video within a few weeks. And it was, looking back, reflecting now, the energetics were so, I felt like I had so much to say, but my energy levels were focused on other things, and also very much in rejuvenation mode. And I just left. I was in my hometown for about a year or so, and I just left maybe 3 weeks ago. So I suppose I've been just readjusting. And right when I went to push record on this video, I heard multiple horns go off. And for me, that's always confirmation. I utilize my surroundings. And now my crown is tingling. So yeah, I honestly was feeling a bit overwhelmed because I felt like so much was coming through. So I really just sat before I did this, and I was guided to light some candles that are in front of me and set on and it smells so good. For some reason, the word is escaping me right now. A diffuser, an oil diffuser. I am actually pet sitting right now. So I'm in a new home, and it's this beautiful apartment overlooking the ocean in the distance, and then the river canal right in front. And I am actually on the 31st floor, so 31 might be relevant for someone. And the oil, there were so many oils over there in the selection to choose from. And usually I love mixing things, and for some reason I only grabbed one of the oils, which is very unlike me, and it is called Purify Cleansing Blend. I'm being guided to read what's in there, so I will. Citrus, lemon, peel oil, citronella, more citrus peel oil, tea tree, it smells so good, cilantro, the leaf and stem oil. Anyway, any of those things could be relevant for someone or helpful to work with. Of course, always trust yourself. And blue and green seem to be significant colors. There are 2 white candles in front of me. And it's funny because the strongest inspiration today to record this video, I keep calling it a video, audio, video, whichever, was from a dream that I had last night. There were a few dreams that I've had recently that probably will weave in to this transmission. But the dream mostly was something I will share in a moment. And it has to do with ancestral lineages, DNA, specifically the phrase sleeping DNA. And I will explain why in a moment. So when I was lighting the candles, I was guided to light one. I wanted to light 3, and I only saw 2 in front of me. So I was like, you know what, I'll just stick with the 2. And I was going to light one for each lineage, the mother and the father lineage personally, and then of course through the mother and father arc. And then I wanted a third one actually for the Fae. They've been coming through really strongly lately. Now, however you personally connect with or do not connect with that energy, it's kind of personal to all of us. And then of course we have folklore from different cultural stories and myths, etc. And so yeah, it's your personal connection, whether like however you connect through that. For me personally, it's been a lot of like dream time connection, and then what shows up for me in my everyday reality in terms of just like where I'm led to go, things that people say to me, what I have shown to me through meditation or dream time, and then again it will kind of like show up in my external reality somehow, like whether it's through a book someone wants to show me or a name I hear. These are just a very few examples. So yeah, if you're hearing this, you're probably either already connecting with this or being asked to connect with it. And of course, like I always imply and say, trust yourself for sure. And I just looked over and saw the words solve, discover, and unlock. So those words might be relevant for someone. And risk. Okay, now I'm seeing, I've been feeling like mantis energy as well, like a lot coming through. And I just looked over and saw the word mantis. So they're like these games that are underneath of a shelf. So games could be relevant for someone. Yeah, oh my God, there's the game Rummy Cub Classic. Some people call it Rummy Cube. I grew up playing that game like so much. Like me and my sisters played Rummy Cub to exhaustion. So yeah, there might be something like, and of course, whenever I connect in personally, generally speaking with the Fae energy, there's a lot of that like inner child excitement, seeing the world through the eyes of a child type of child. I feel like I said that funny. Energy. I don't know if you hear a helicopter in the background or a plane, some sort of vehicle. So someone might be traveling soon, or, like I was talking about connecting through dreams or astral travel. It could be both. I'm actually feeling like it's both. Oh, you hear that? There was like a second, like I said, I'm on the 31st floor. So if you hear things in the background, the door is open. I'm also surrounded by 2 adorable dogs and a cat. So I left the door cracked so the fresh air will come in. Back to the candles. And please bear with me. This is how I do my audio, my videos. They just are a bit nonlinear, and I think I've mentioned this before in some other audios where it's not everyone's favorite style, so I totally understand, but yeah, that's just how it comes through. So just wanted to say that. The 2 candles. So when I went to light them, like I said, I wanted to light one for the mother and father, ancestral lineages, present, forward, backward, all realms, all dimensions, that whole encompassing energy. And then also for the Fae. But like I said, there were 2 candles. So when I went over to the first one, I said my little, I think I was guided to do light language and do a little prayer type of thing. Not like prayer, but honoring intention, etc. And then when I went for the collectives, I always say for the collectives upon which myself and all beings are connected, that are ready to, receive this. And then I went to the next one, and there were actually 2 wicks in that bigger candle. So I got that three, the Trinity, the 3 energy. Also for the Fae DNA. And, just really like the interdimensional folds, like those beings coming through, the more like etheric energy, at least to us, it feels ethereal. And so with that, I got really excited. It was like a nice little surprise, but it also like my intuitive knowing was 3, and I was just guided to go over and not search for a 3rd one. So there's something in there too. Like that's a message in itself, of just like trusting that and trusting what you feel, allowing things to come to you in the way they show up. And there's also this like essence of the 3 energy of like, again, the mother, the father, and then like the Sophianic Christos. And if you're not familiar with that phrase, the Ascension Glossary is one of my go-to places for Lisa Renee's Ascension Glossary. She does, in my opinion, like such a great job. I feel like I talk about her in some videos. I'm taking a pause, so please bear with me. Okay, yeah, so back to what I was saying before about I felt like I had so much coming in and that I wanted to share, which, you know, it was true, but the timing just was not, it didn't feel right for me. So I kept taking these pauses. And of course, I'd have a moment of like, oh, I'm sleeping on my opportunity. But it was like this deeper feeling of just trusting in my own timing. So again, that feels really relevant here. And I had noticed a few different bodily sensations that were coming through that I felt were relevant, and my lower like sacrum, my lower back, and kind of like the hip areas, so like the root and sacral, all of the connecting spots in there just kept feeling very like tight, and I felt like no matter what I did, like I could not get relief. And I kept feeling like it was a collective energy too. Like, because honestly, today I woke up and I'm going to share a few other things that kind of weave through this. But as soon as I started recording, like the sensation is like mitigated. Like I barely feel it right now. And I did do a few other things before I opened this video. And I'm pretty sure there's it's either a white feather or one of those like wishies. You know, I always call them wishies, a dandelion root. My friend, it's funny, I'm the 31st floor, and my friend, her number, if you will, is 31, and she calls them like fairies, and I just saw it like floating around. So I love that. Yeah, I just heard in my head like, we're here. Anyway, as I'm just taking a moment to say thank you. I was just guided to. So yeah, maybe there's like moments where you find yourself just like needing to say thank you, even if it's just to yourself or to your body, to different things. Maybe that's a practice you've been cultivating for like a very long time. Maybe you just started, maybe it's intermittent, but there's something about that, just like taking these moments of just like, no matter what you're doing, just stopping for a second. And like, it doesn't have to be saying the word thank you, but just being in that energetic imprint of like taking a breath and just being like truly in the moment and grateful for whatever you're experiencing, even if it's something that's a bit tough. Like it doesn't have to be just great things, or at least perceivingly great things. Yeah. So as I continue talking, I feel like the energy is speeding up a bit. And like I said, yeah, I'm seeing the Temperance card in my mind's eye in tarot, specifically the light seers. So if anyone's listening to this and they want to share like something from, you can like Google that. I don't have my computer in front of me. And you can share like a specific meaning from that, or just look it up for yourself in the comment section. But there's something about that specific deck. That deck comes through a lot for me, and it's funny. Anyway, I'm being drawn to look at the clouds in the sky. And I'm seeing an elephant. And actually, this sounds really funny, but the elephant looks like it's wearing a hat, but it's like a skipper hat. Like, you know, I don't know if you like wear them when people are like sailing, maybe like there's something about that. So maybe someone's going sailing soon, or there could be like a metaphor of like sailing through an obstacle that has been kind of like tripping you up. And going back to that root energy, there's something there with like this uncomfortableness that I was feeling. And another aspect of the dream that was coming through, I just got like chills all on my legs, and I'm hearing like truth chills. Yeah, so there may be some like illumination of truth coming to light that has to do with your like security, feeling more in control while like simultaneously like letting go of the reins, which I know is kind of like a paradox, but that's what I'm getting. And I'm also hearing now whirlwind, like something being in a whirlwind, and like feeling like being in a whirlwind. Yeah, so maybe that's why that moment that I took to just like, for me, say thank you, but for you to just take those moments when things feel a little bit like whirlwind-like, to just really know how in that moment to like tune back into yourself, even if you're in like a crowded place or somewhere that feels like you can't take a breath, like just really practicing. Or again, you may already be practicing that, and if so, I'm hearing keep it up because it's really helping. Now I'm hearing unfolding. Yeah, so it's like unfolding something within you, which brings us back to that phrase again. I'm hearing like the hidden. Something hidden is unfolding as you continue to like trust your own timing and your own cycles. And again, if you're not, then you're being maybe called to look into this more. Excuse me. Yeah. When I burp, that's like a release of some sort of energetic, like, I'm hearing obstacle actually, but it really could come through in different ways. And now I'm hearing the word airway. So that could literally have to do with like the airways in the sky, but I'm also being taken to like, our breathing airways. So actually, if you'd like to join me in taking a breath, you don't have to, but that's what I'm being guided to do. So breathe in through your nose and pull in your belly button towards your spine. And then just really hold it in. And maybe like squeeze the rest of your body. Even like the tiny little areas we don't think about. Like behind the eyes. Each toe. Shoulder blades. And then just exhale it out. Yeah, and this is something, again, it seems so simple. And if you're already doing this, then you'll already probably know how it can really just like kind of like alchemize your own inner being in that moment, bringing you really back into the present moment and just releasing any tension that's like floating through your body. And if you are drawn to listen to this, then most likely you're someone who picks up on like those extrasensory like frequencies of the planet, the multiverse, people around you, animals, whatever it is. So these are just little I keep saying the word perceivingly. I'm not even sure if that's a word, but it keeps coming up. Perceivingly, like something small that can really build on itself, to help neutralize whatever it is you're experiencing. So I'm also really drawn, there's these binoculars in front of me. I don't know the last time I've seen them in person, like a binoculars. Yeah, and I was saying something about illumination. So there might be this, now I'm seeing the Hangman and the Three of Pentacles. Oh, interesting. So the Hangman, right. And now I'm hearing Odin. So Odin might be relevant for someone. But there's something about like seeing something, through a different lens. And like, what do you do with binoculars? I mean, you put them on your face. I actually don't remember the last time I've actually used them. But something so far away, you're able to see it so much more clearly as if it's in front of your face. So that in itself could be a message, like something that's about to happen or just did happen. Now I'm hearing, oh God, the song Gotta Have Faith from George Michael, I believe. So that could be relevant for someone. And I was going to do this audio on the balcony, but it was just a little bit too loud outside. Like I did a little test before. And so I just was like, oh, okay, I'll just leave the door open. And then instantly I heard the song in my head. I think it's Bruno Mars. I'm gonna leave the door open. I'm not gonna sing right now, but that song might be relevant for someone too. I just looked down. I have some notes and I saw 333 immediately. So that could be something. 47 was a number that kept popping up. I wrote down quite a few numbers that were coming in, but right now that's all that wants to be mentioned. And I'm seeing the word quantum leap that I wrote down and a little bit of light language that I doodled in the corner. So that's the second time light language has come up. So maybe someone here is doing light language, being called to look into it. I know how that can feel, like if it's something that's still like you're really, this is like a specific message for someone. This might not be for everyone that hears this. I know that feeling of being drawn to something, light language, that like feels like it comes through you so naturally. You know, it can be spoken, it can be sung, it can be painted, drawn. I see light codes all the time in the air, like, you know, just coming off of any light source, the sun, the moon, even though the moon is technically illuminated by the sun. Different candles, I don't know why I said different, candlelight, even artificial light, or what we deem as artificial light. So yeah, there's just, and that's just a few things coming through, but sometimes it's like, you know, there's this stigma, of course, and, you know, these internal conflicts that can arise when we're so drawn to something that can seem so like fantasy or delusional. And I know that's been one of my biggest things to overcome. And I actually had a conversation with someone the other day, and this really like drew up so many things for me in terms of this like topic. So maybe that's why it's coming up. And it was someone who I never met before, but I've been using their product for a long time, and I love their product so much. Anyway, and they just said some things that kind of like made me really think about the idea of like delusion. And this is, you know, these are things I've thought of in the past for sure. Yeah, my pointer finger on my left hand, which for me is the air element, through the feminine. So that could be relevant for someone. Now I'm hearing air signs, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. And so it's like really trusting the balance of the mental plane in that feminine, like high priestess energy, and then also like checking in with yourself to balance out the, you know, the practicality, the masculine charge of like being grounded in this reality. But sometimes, you know, we need to go through these phases of maybe feeling a little bit out of touch to like reclaim this part of ourselves. At least that's been my experience. And like I've heard a lot of people say, like, you know, how, because delusion, you know, there are absolutely people out there who may not be coming from the most integral or grounded place, and that's important to note too. So anyway, I'm bringing this up more just to say, like, our actual like cellular patterning has these, you know, this, again, that word paradox is coming up, and that like fear, the fear patterning, really. And that's why the root, I think, is coming up so much in the sacral, because this like creative, and then of course I saw the blue and the green, so like the heart and the throat. So it's like, you know, the authentic expression, feeling safe enough to do that, and then really learning to trust yourself and balance that with your integrity. And it's like, you know, now I'm seeing the Judgment card, so it's like really taking inventory and being honest with yourself. Like, is this really coming from a place of, you know, what I feel? It's okay to check in with yourself and balance that out. But, you know, sometimes, and again, if you're drawn to this is most likely what might be happening, is like you're actually like very in tune with that. And now is the time to really just like trust what you are experiencing, and allow what's coming in for you, like externally as well, to like, I'm hearing like you've done such a great job of internally, releasing and checking in with yourself and utilizing that judgment energy. I just heard the word archangel, but I'm not getting one in particular, which is interesting. I just heard that, so maybe someone here feels very connected to the archangels, working with archangels. Yeah, I'm seeing like, I'm feeling and seeing like so many of those archangel names, and each one means something different. So I just feel like now I'm seeing, like a rainbow, and then I'm seeing like the pastel rainbow, the heliotalic spectrum. So it's like this 3D rainbow, like the primary colors. And then when you go into like the more ethereal plane, so it's like the seven realms, and then the 7 higher heaven realms, and like integrating those two. That just seems to be coming through. There are so many words in my head that I'm hearing, that depending whether or not what they are. Like I said, the Ascension Glossary from Lisa Renee will probably have most of these things. They were coming through to me for a while now, years actually, in different phases. And for me personally, I was realizing the other day how, knowing like the way that I guess chose on some level to experience these remembrances, things would come through to me, like I said, through dreams, through meditation, through astral experiences, etc., etc. And then I would be like led in really magical ways, most often, to the verbiage for a lot of these things that I was expressing. Sometimes I would just be shown like a phrase or a word, or an actual like experience that I may not have had the words for. And then every time I ask, it's like I am shown that in somehow. And I really had to like give up the whole idea of like how other people receive information and comparing myself and worrying about when it will happen, because it really truly does always come right when I need it. So that was just a little side detour for someone. So I was hearing the Aquiline Sun, Aqualine, and that is connected to the frequencies in the core of Andromeda Galaxy. So it's like this like aqua frequency light, photonic light coming through the Andromeda Galaxy. So you might feel connected to that energy, and that has been coming through really strongly. And the Aquafarians and the Auroras, and like I said, I'm just going to say the names, and if you feel a resonance to that in the future, I do plan on like going into more detail, but for now this is just what I'm guided to do. Feel free to tune into your own self and see why you feel that resonance. And then, like I said, Lisa Renee is a really good source, the Ascension Glossary. Yeah, I just felt that like in my heart space. Woo. Okay, so now I'm going to bring in the dream that I experienced last night, that felt relevant to what is coming through. I just want to go take a sip of, I have beet juice that has, I believe, carrot, lemon, and there's another thing in there. I can't remember. Oh, here it is. Celery. I've been really drawn to red juices, like beet juice, watermelon juice, strawberry, and then also like passion fruit, guava. Yeah, so there's something about, if you're drawn to specific foods right now that like feel like they're nourishing you, then really try to just like let that be a part of your experience, because and what I just named might be something that you were also really drawn to. Excuse me. And so, especially since I've gotten to this like hotter climate, I've really been just craving a lot of fruit and like root vegetables, which is funny because it's like most of the day I just want like light things like fruit, and then at night I've been really wanting like a hearty meal, which is funny because when I got here, because it's so hot, I was like, oh, I'm probably not going to want any hot meals, but it's been the opposite. Like I said, like most of the day I just want like juices and fruit, and then maybe like a little something hearty, and then at nighttime I've been like really wanting like like potatoes and cauliflower with lemon, or like a pasta, like these like quinoa and lentils. So there's something about that. I'm not sure why that's being brought up, but I'm just sharing it in case it's relevant for someone. Let's see. Okay, so back to the dream. In the dream, my dad, who is no longer on this plane, he passed on in, I think it was 2017, and I'm recording this in 2024. And that was actually like one of the first, I guess you can call it like awakenings that I experienced, was as he passed on. I started connecting with him in ways that were just like, you know, as most people would say, like unexplainable, or just way beyond the physical. Obviously he wasn't here anymore, so at least in this plane. And so I really always say, like, he really helped me break open my mediumship. I was already experiencing things, but I think I was a bit in denial, you know, throughout my life. And then, like, it really cracked open, at least, like, yeah, I just got another tingle on my crown. And so anyway, and I still will have, like, different astral experiences with him even to this day. And so last night was one of them. And it was so funny because in the dream, he was, like, sitting at a table. I think it was like a picnic wood type of table. And he was just sleeping, like sitting up, like his head was just, he was sleeping. And I was talking to this girl who I haven't seen in a very long time. And I actually never, like, had a problem with her or anything that I remember. So, yeah, for some reason, the initial E may be relevant for someone. EH, I'm seeing. And so she was telling me something in the dream. Like, she had all this drama going on. And I was like, okay, like, that's totally fine. You can tell me, like, can you just do me a favor and, like, keep your voice down a little bit? Like, my dad is sleeping and he's so exhausted. Like, he just really needs to sleep. So can you please just, like, you know, keep it down? For some reason, like, I guess in the stream we had to stay in that spot where he was sleeping. And she just kind of, like, kept talking as if, like, I didn't exist, and just kept, like, getting more and more loud and like, you know, expressive. And, like, in the dream, it was like, normally I would just, like, let that happen. But there was something inside of me that was like, and it wasn't, like, malicious. I was just, like, very assertive. And I was like, you clearly just ignored me as if I was, like, not even here. And I was like, the one thing I asked you to do was to please just lower your voice a little bit. And then my dad had woken up. That's why I, like, feel like I snapped a little bit. But again, it wasn't like, malicious. I was just very, like, I was, like, confident and assertive, and, like, kind of, like, now I'm seeing, like, Seven of Wands and Tarot, like, standing my ground and, like, sticking up for whatever was happening for myself and my dad. And it felt really good in the dream. Like, I was just like, you know what? And, you know, you have no regard for, like, me holding space for you, and you're just, like, unloading, and you have no, like, awareness, and I don't need that right now. And you know what? I've given you so many chances. I asked you, please, to, you know, do this one thing, and I hope you basically, like, find what you need, but this is not the place right now. And so she left. And when I woke up, I was like, what was that about? And then I have this, like, 2-day free trial on my phone of an oracle deck, and it's actually a fairy oracle deck. There's this app that I like, BE Oracle Cards, if anyone hasn't heard of it, and you get to try all these different decks in 2-day free trials. So because I've been traveling a lot, I don't have any, like, physical cards. I really downsized, so it's just nice, and especially because I feel like the energy is just so, like, things are changing so much right now. It's nice to have these, like, 2-day stints of different frequencies coming through these cards. Anyway, so one of them happens to be the fairy card, a fairy deck, and I pulled a card this morning, and it was talking about sleeping DNA, and I was like, oh my god, duh. Like, this, and it's funny because when I got to the building I'm staying in, I was walking the dog yesterday, and I kept thinking about the father's lineage, like the, again, personally and then collectively, or the masculine lineage. And not that masculine always has to be man, but just that, yeah. So, and then I'm putting this all together now. Then I had the dream, and then I pulled that card about the sleeping DNA. And it's funny because, he was literally sleeping and then was woken up. And at first I was like, oh no, I'm trying to help preserve his sleep and be courteous to everyone around me. And then I had to assert myself in a way. So it's the person who awoke it, even though it was crossing my boundary in the dream. Again, there's this paradox energy of to be grateful to that energy, because that's what shook up the energy and woke it up. But at the same time, as that happens, you still step into that more assertive space of standing your own ground. So that was coming through. And again, connected to that root feeling of maybe, so the second part of the dream, then I was with, someone in my well, she's not blood family, but she's in my sister-in-law. So if she ever listens to this, hey Mia, you were in my dream. And she's also someone who I do sessions with. And in the dream, we were being held up, but it was such a strange way. We were at Temple University. We're both from Philadelphia. So, and it's funny because I used to live right near there, and now she lives right near there. I'm just realizing that. And in the dream, it was we both were about to get up, and this guy, it was we were lured somewhere under false pretenses. And when we went to get up, this guy was where do you think you're going? And he pulled up a shirt and showed us a gun. And we were oh, is this really happening? All right. So we sat back down, and then it was people we knew one by one kept getting lured to where we were. And also, same thing. Then they would get there. And I was trying my best to send them messages with my mind, don't come here. It's a trap, And then I remember she just kept looking at me in the dream, you have to do something. And I was feeling all this pressure, okay, what can I do? And I remember closing my eyes and just being I just went into the space of trying to understand why it was happening and saying thank you. And just seeing, I went within to see what I could do. I honestly don't remember what happened after that, but it took me to the space of a collective energy of this, I looked up what the dream meaning of being held hostage, and it was saying something feeling your life is kind of out of control, and these circumstances are just completely out of your control. And my my left thumb, which is the fire element through the feminine. Yeah, so it's not trusting your own place and where you are, and feeling you have no ability to do anything about it. And so when we look at that in terms of the planet and what the planet is going through too, not just ourselves but all of the beings, and with all of these big scandals coming through and things being illuminated, there's this sense of false security that has been with us for so long, and that's falling. Now I'm seeing the Tower card. It's these structures are coming down and being illuminated, and I think it's this collective energy of just feeling this completely out of control. And just my dream where the girl awoke my sleeping father, the sleeping DNA, this hidden stuff within us. There was still that fear that was evoked, but it is for the best. And I feel this whole, you can zoom in and look at it those binoculars, zoom in it and look at it just in your life and what's going on. And then you can zoom out and look at the bigger picture and what's going on, like I said, on the earth. And then now I'm seeing the mantis beings again in the Fae, and then also multidimensionally too. So there's so many avenues and ways that you can perceive this. And I don't want to overwhelm anyone, but if you're here, then if you're still listening to this, then you're most likely, already having these experiences. And this is just to confirm that Okay, one second, because I'm seeing a couple things. I just looked down at the clock and it was 40. And then, like it was like 40 and then 00. So now I'm seeing the Fool card. Yeah, like this new fresh energy, this new beginning, taking these leaps, even when you feel like a little bit uncertain. And of course that comes back to not just taking leaps because it's a fear thing. You may feel fear, but like it's like calculated. Oh, that word risk is coming up again. Calculated risks are really like, I'm hearing the word shining, and now I'm seeing the shining ones, or the shining ones. And I'm hearing the word gatekeeper. So yeah, there's something about like the transcendence of this last cycle and like coming into that next cycle. Zero's new beginning, 0 point field, and like really trusting that you've done what you needed to do up until this point. And now it's like, as you need things, they really will show up for you. And that brings me to, so like I said, since I've gotten to this new location, so some of you might have just also switched geographical locations, or maybe you're being called to, or that's something you want to do. And I remember like I was in a space where right before I did it, like it almost seemed impossible. Like I was feeling a little stuck, honestly, but I just kept trusting and kept showing up in the present moment and like doing my best to follow my guidance, even though a lot of people around me I know were probably like, what is this girl doing with her life? And then boom, something just happened, and I got to switch my geographical location. And so as I was saying, like the last few weeks, I think I was just so excited to do that and of course I was grateful for my previous experience, but I was just very ready. Okay, now I'm feeling the earth element on the right side, the ring finger. Yeah, so masculine earth. I'm hearing Capricorn, so that could be relevant for someone. Right, like putting in that, all of that work, and then trusting that when the time is right, something will come through in the 3D, in your external life, just in that right time. I know not everyone loves hearing that, but whoever's listening to this, I really do feel like it either just happened or it's happening. And as that continues, there's like, again, that word unfolding, like layers are being shown. And I was just really drawn to look out into the ocean, which is I'm just so grateful to have that view, because I have been literally dreaming about this for a while. And so, when I first got here, I was like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And like, I had to be like, whoa, I have to trust that I'll have all the time that I need to do all the things I want to do. And I had to really just like pace myself. So that could be for someone. And I was still feeling like my energy levels were slowly building up, because I was pretty exhausted when I got here. So it was like, I realized that I was given this space to just like recharge my energy and rejuvenate. And it's like, it's so cool, because like each moment it was like, as I was ready, something else would appear, or I'd be guided to take an inspired action, and then it would appear, so it's like really navigating that internal compass of really trusting yourself and trusting, the universal flow. So there's something about that as well. Let's see. Yeah, I'm being guided for some reason to talk about like movement, and I wanted to, there were multiple things that I have been trying to do, and they just like weren't lining up. Like there was this like free program to have this like new experience in a gym. And now personally, I've never had great experiences, and I don't really like going to gyms. It's not really my thing. So I was like, oh, this seems a little different. Let me give it a shot. And each time I tried, it was just like, isn't working out. Now, that's not to say it won't work out in the future. It might. But it's like really showing up with what you have, and like with the energy that you have. So for a while, I felt like all I had the energy for was like taking walks and doing like small movement and breath. And that's what I've been doing. And then I would get like a burst of energy and be like, oh, maybe I can run a block, whatever it is, or like put on some music and just dance. I love like putting on like Tantra Kundalini music and just like letting my body like flow through it. And then today, the building I'm staying in has a sauna. And I remember my friend was like, oh, you should go and like go do hot yoga. And like I don't know, my body was just like, maybe it's just not ready for it. I don't know. But the last few times, I just didn't want to. And I just trusted that like what will, and again, maybe in the future I will, but I trusted that something would show up for me that would be right for me. And then boom, a sauna showed up. There was no one in it. I went in and I was doing like these stretches that like my body just needed to do. And I did like a little meditation, and then like this music came on, I guess like from the place. I didn't even know they had music. And then I was just like doing these stretches to the music, and my body just felt so good. And then I did some lymphatic drainage, and I seriously felt like so great after. And now I'm recording this video, and I like literally made space, but I just kept trusting that what I needed would show up, and it did. So yeah, there's something about that, like working with what you have in the moment, and you can like, you know, I would visualize myself like doing these things, and they're just like actually coming to fruition in ways that I could have never planned or guessed. And now, again, this will not be for everyone, but if you're drawn to this, there's probably a reason. So, and I know I'm telling like a lot of personal things. That's just what I'm being guided to do right now. So yeah, now I'm back drawn to the mantis energy. So someone here might really be connecting into the mantis beings, you know, on this plane and others. Oh, I just looked over at the dog that I'm watching, and he's like jerking his body. This is the first time I've seen him do it. You know, they say dogs do that in their sleep, in their dreams. So specifically for someone here, you might be connecting with the mantis beings in your dreams. And I'm hearing that they may not come, I don't know why I'm seeing Jiminy Cricket. That could be relevant for someone. They may come in like a cartoon, or just to like work with your, I'm hearing they're working with your cellular structure, like and activating parts of your DNA to like kind of purge out that ancestral fear, so that like you don't blow out your nervous system, kind of thing. Because I hear some of you saying like, oh my God, I can handle it. And it's like, yeah, you probably could in part of you, but, and I know because I've gone through this myself, where I've actually had beings come to me in very funny, or for me funny ways, because they come through and I'm like, I wake up and I'm like, why did they come through like that? And I'm seeing now it's like they can come through in ways that you can handle. And like I said, you're probably like, oh, I feel like I can handle so much more. But sometimes it's like our body just literally has these molecular and cellular like fear patterning. And so like I actually learned to be really grateful for this, so that like we don't just get blown open. And then like you know, a lot of people, for me, I'm seeing like spiritual psychosis can go into that, like what we call spiritual psychosis, of just like not being able to handle reality, because maybe your nervous system wasn't ready, maybe your mental body was ready, but your nervous system wasn't, or you know, your lymph system, which is like a mirror to our emotional state, is clogged. So maybe your emotional state, you know, wouldn't be ready. So there's something about that, like just continuing to like welcome it in if that's something you want, and then like looking at your body systems and your, you know, your, again, that number 7, they say there's like in a lot of different traditions 7 subtle bodies. So like looking at the subtle bodies and like kind of mapping through. I'm hearing the word clair cartography again. Clair is clear in French, in case you were wondering. You may already know that. And then like, you know, mapping cartography. So there's something about clear mapping through your systems and your experiences, your dream time, what's coming up, to like kind of piece together some of the experiences that you've, you know, not just in this moment, but like I'm seeing back to that like child energy again. So maybe experiences you had as a child, like you might really be in, would you hear that loud, what kind of sounds like a motorcycle? Yeah, so there might be these like memories coming up, other lifetimes, or you know, off-planet experiences, other realms, dimensions that are really coming up to the surface right now for you to kind of you know, map through and see. And again, that hangman energy, like now that you've had a new perspective, like to see it through a different light. Let me see where else this is taking us. So I paused. I don't know if you can tell. Probably not. And I had written a few things down over the last few weeks that I had just been feeling like I was receiving. And one of the topics I was drawn to was Anka, which is, It's funny, Bashar keeps coming up. Dara Anka, so maybe someone here has been listening to Bashar, or maybe there's like a message from Bashar for you. But Anka is, oh my, I'm just getting another, oh my. I don't usually say it like that. There's a connection here. So the girl in my dream, her name is Erin. And Anka is a star system that I connected to in a way that was, I'm trying to even remember how I connected with them. They're allegedly like amphibious beings who, this woman, Erin, actually created this website. I think it's Erin Lynn. I'll have to look. I think it's Erin Lynn. I never met her, but I somehow found her online. I don't remember how I found her. But I was seeing this parallelogram, like I would look at the floor and see it, or I'd look at the sky. Like it just kept coming up for me. And somehow through that, I was led to her website. I honestly don't even remember the steps of how. And I was connecting with these beings that were coming through. And I'm hearing in my head Aldebaran. So there's Aldebaran. They were coming through. And then also Aldebaran. Wait, let me see if I can get this right. Aldebaran and then Aldebaran. Like there's another connection to these beings. For some reason, I can't remember their name, so it must not be meant to come in, but it does sound like Aldebaran. And then their sister planet, or sister connection, is Anka. And they say, according to her readings, that she had discovered through the Akashic records that like source light is held there. So whatever that would mean to you. But they're coming through, and the idea of these, again, sleeping DNA being activated through different soul keys and auric key codes. So there's definitely and each of you will have a unique experience with this. So whoever's listening to this may have, like I said, these recaps or recapitulations of mystical experiences. And also I'm hearing mystical and mundane that you're kind of putting together and formulating your own crystalline DNA activation through these auric key codes. And, that could be through also just passing someone on the street or meeting someone through a dream. My right hand is tingling. So, doing energy healing on yourself or, different types of somatic practices or whatever it is that helps essentially clearing space through your physical body to hold these memories from a more cleared out perspective. And like I said, any of these beings that came through that you either are already familiar with or not, you may be connected or feel a connection to all of them, one of them, none of them. But I invite you to kind of go within and see what comes through. And then, like I said, the few resources that I mentioned, you can also do a Google search and see what you find. Maybe some of you are being called to start sharing, and it doesn't have to be publicly. It could just be maybe you're being called to do some grid work, or maybe you're already doing this, and just trust that the more you do it with yourself, it will create that imprint, or it's already creating that imprint and will ripple out in that divine timing, in ways that you probably couldn't have planned. Yeah, now I'm seeing Kundalini. So there might be, I'm pretty sure if you're listening to this, you've probably already had at least one or two Kundalini. I'm hearing reactivations actually. But yeah, I'm feeling it on the right side of my spine. Probably, let's see, if you go to the sacrum or the lower back, it's probably on the way to the mid back. So not quite mid, but a little bit underneath on the right side of the spine. Now, you could be mirroring, and for you it might be the left, and that's fine. But I'm hearing the word off kilter. So there's just a little bit of something that's a little bit off kilter right now. Now, you know what? I'm feeling that pain again that I was feeling earlier. I've literally been feeling it for days in my root chakra. That word chakra, I just say it because it comes out, but wheel of light or energy center, whatever phrase you'd like to add in. And I I just had to do another little like micro movement. That's been very helpful. These like micro movements that I just utilize in the spine. So Kundalini yoga might be very helpful. There's something called, if you're not familiar, the Sufi grind. And there's one Kundalini yoga teacher who I really love. I found him recently, and he focuses a lot on Sufi grind. You can Google that if you're not familiar. But that's very helpful for moving through the energy through the spine. So spinal health right now is like, it's always important, but it's extra important, I'm hearing. And visualizations, I'm seeing like glowing, I'm hearing and seeing glowing light and like bioluminescence. And now I'm hearing bioregenesis. Yeah, so it's like utilizing these bioluminescent frequencies, visualizing them, looking at them online, having those type of lights around you if you can. For those of you who can, like, I don't know, maybe someone here is like, I'm obsessed with bioluminescence, so maybe someone here is like, I'm seeing like one of those like nighttime cave experiences where you get to see it like all lit up, or you get to go to like, I don't know, there's like a place in Costa Rica where you get to go and see it in the water. Yeah, there's something about that, like maybe that's like a dream of yours that feels really out of touch, and I'm hearing like continue working with that energetically, because it will show up when it's time. I'm hearing. And so now the bioregenesis, that phrase has been coming through a lot, and someone, I've mentioned her before, her name is Becca, and her channel is Soul-Based Life. Now, she doesn't know I exist, and I just found her pretty recently, but she has been really helpful for me, actually. And it's funny because there's this whole idea, of like mentorship and like how in ways it can come through. I've had like personal mentors like that I've had one-on-ones with, and then, group events, and then people that I've found, through the internet or in books or even in dream time. And there's like I'm hearing the word like a humbling experience when like to really like, if there's some sort of like mastery or expression that you're being asked to like embody and step into. And I know I've gone through this where sometimes it feels like I've like gone searching for these like mentors to the point where like I always felt like I wasn't ready enough. And now I feel finally like I can embody both of the mentor and the mentee, and there's something about that too. And my head just started to hurt, particularly on the left side. And I was reading about the head right before I started this in one of the oracle cards, and it was talking about how the head like holds, the crown energy, like it's where we receive these downloads. And so, or at least one of the areas it comes through. So it's something that I'm getting. It's like really stepping into the idea of like the teacher and the student, and like embodying both of those frequencies. And now you may already be doing this, and that is wonderful. But now I'm hearing, I just looked up and I saw something I hadn't noticed before. It's like a peace sign that's made out of, it looks like little twigs or barks. And it's reminding me of the tree of life, and then like the ancestral tree, and then, the Kabbalah, the 12 Sephiroths on that. So maybe someone here is into Kabbalah or being asked to start exploring that. And anyway, Becca from Soul-Based Life, I believe that's what she calls herself, has been really helpful for me. So if you're into some more of like the higher ascension mechanics and the cloister door Torah plates or anything like that sparks your interest, she does, in my opinion, a really good job of transmitting some of these very dense topics. And I'm actually being called to start doing some of that myself. But as I do that, it's nice to have someone, who I feel is like a trustworthy resource. Because it's not, I really like her because it doesn't feel like it's about like a competitive, this is my information. We're all bringing through this in a unique way, and we each have our own auric key codes to express through these different hidden wisdom, that we each carry personally, collectively, and interdimensionally, I was asked to pause. Yeah, I'm hearing like meta, ultra. So there's something about that. Now I'm seeing a flamingo, and it's a picture. There's like a lot of birds, I'm realizing, in this house. So birds might be communicating with you in a more like intense way, you know, whether it's like you're taking a walk and there's a bird that flies by and you feel like, oh, I need to know what the spiritual meaning of this bird is, or maybe it's trying to show me something physically, etc., etc. Like I said, through your dream time. Now I'm hearing Thoth, so maybe someone here is really connecting with Thoth and the Ra collective, R-A, Ra. I'm also being taken to the halls of Amenti, so yeah, there's something that came through recently. I feel like I have been experiencing for a long time. And in Ashayana Dean's book, Voyagers 2, in Keylontic Science, The Secrets of the Halls of Amenti, I believe it's called, something like that. If someone here is familiar or wants to Google, please feel free to add that to the comments. But yeah, there's this like breakdown of the morphogenetic field and how the halls of Amenti were formed through like transmutation. And that Ra, even though it's presented in Egypt as a being, it's like a collective. And they call themselves the Palladorians, who came through these different transmutation processes to like essentially transmute their essence into the morphogenetic field, into what we know as the, you know, connected through the halls of Amenti. So there's something about that as well that's coming up. And like different levels of like, again, that word unfolding. You know, it's like the next phase of your consciousness understanding is formulating and like hatching. I'm seeing like a dinosaur egg for some reason, so that could be relevant for something. But I know like the dinosaur can also just stand for that like ancient knowing, ancient connection, ancient being, you know, literally being. Yeah, and it's like cultivating that stillness that, again, if you're here, you probably already have been doing this, but if not, there may be a call right now to cultivate that stillness. So these different, I'm hearing the word elevation or elevated. So like elevated concepts that you've been kind of integrating in your being and making space for can like show itself to you. I have no idea how long I've been going, but I feel like this is a good place to stop. And there are so many things that came through that I can't wait to like kind of go into deeper detail or bring through. So if you do hear this or you've gotten this far, like please feel free to comment below, like if there's something more specific you'd like to go into, or you know, something that you felt really like that like called your attention, or something you've been experiencing. Yeah, feel free to share. I'd love to hear, and I have no idea what the next topic will be, but I'm sure it will reveal itself pretty soon. But yeah, if you got this far, thank you so much for listening, and I think that's all.